Ladies and gentlemen, Tesla stock is up close to 0.5% today. We have a lot of information to get to. We had ISM services data that came out this morning. Not as good as you would expect. Same is true for the ADP report, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's start with a little bit of a rumor, because who doesn't love a rumor in regards to Tesla? In the afternoon, apparently the whisper rumor going around right now that the Zangler on X is sharing with us. He's the guy that's been tracking very closely the progress in Giga Nevada with the semi-truck. He says that the actual production line for the semis that are already produced has shut down, that all future production will be at the high volume Giga Semi factory that is under construction. The pilot line could be used to build other prototypes like the sleeper semi and or a box truck variant. He says this is also from first-hand experience. You can see there is nothing going on this production line. So that's fascinating, because I don't think anyone is anticipating much next year from Tesla semis. But if that's a new demographic area of our markets that Tesla can start to penetrate, that could be a slight positive for next year. Musk has retweeted or reshared this post about Tesla China sales figures for November. And he says, great work by the China team. And this has people drawing one and one, putting one and one together, and assuming that this likely means we're going to hit that 500,000 delivery target. There was actually news yesterday that Tesla's weekly insurance registration numbers out of China came in the second best week of 2024 at over 18,000. Now, that was kind of overlooked because of what was going on in South Korea. I did report that news to you guys, so you knew about that. But it does look like China is picking up some strength into year end. As I have mentioned before, yesterday, Jim Cramer says Tesla will perform well in December. Let me know what you think. Do you think December is going to be a good month for Tesla, or did Jim Cramer just jinx it? Tesla Tracker on X says Tesla could be hitting $412.53 by year end, and that's kind of my expectation as well. I expect Tesla is going to be near all-time highs by the end of this year, which is the month of December. Holmar's catalog says the rate of improvement is accelerating rapidly with full self-driving. 12 to 13 is an even bigger jump than 11 to 12. And the 3x larger version will take it to the next level. Musk is laughing at Danny Moses. He is one of the Big Short traders in the movie The Big Short back in 2008. And he says he's exited his short position on Tesla. Elon Musk just laughs. This is the same Danny Moses that in May of 2024 doubled his Tesla short position, calling it his favorite short. Danny Moses, now in November of 2024, says he completely exits his Tesla short position after the stock doubled. And that's why you really don't want to ever short Tesla. It's a very bad idea. Tesla has announced that their 0% APR promotion for the new Model 3 and Model Y orders in the US will end on December 15th. To take advantage of this, you have to order now and take delivery by December 31st. Business Insider says critics said Musk overpaid for Twitter. Thanks to Trump and XAI, it could actually be a steal. China's VP says the Model 3 becomes a double 5-star model with China Electric Vehicle Fire Safety Index and Automotive Fire Safety Certification, both of which being 5 stars. Speaking of Korea, Tesla sold 3,618 vehicles in Korea in November. The current cumulative sales volume is positive 85% year over year. Option activity in Tesla stock today is very positive from hedge funds and institutions. You have 132 different trades totaling $78.63 million with a positive order value of 85%. Volume today is 58.08% calls and 41.92% puts. Tesla's short interest of free float sits at 2.73%. You have $26.77 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 76.19 million shares currently sold short. Here on the day today, you can see a borrowed change of negative 42.82 thousand shares. That means you're actually seeing almost 43,000 shares today being covered on for Tesla stock. Is this moving Tesla? Probably not. 43,000 shares, you're doing that in like 1 minute, a 1 minute candle on Tesla most days. It's not a big deal, but it does show that short sellers, they want to get out of these short positions as Tesla stock remains in a place of a technical breakout. If we do have a strong December, like Fundstrat is calling for, like JP Morgan is calling for, like Goldman Sachs is calling for, just over the next 30 days, you could see Tesla go much higher. But before we get into the rest of your Tesla news and information you need to know today, I gotta spill the beans. There was some bad news today from the economic data, the ISM services data, and the ADP employment report, both of which were not that good. First and foremost, the ADP employment change was expecting around 150,000 job ads. You came in at 146,000 job ads. So it was a little light, but not a huge deal overall. Now, the bigger issue is ISM services PMIs. You were expecting 55.5 and you came in at 52.1, almost in contraction for services. Business activity was expected at 57.3. It came in at 53.7. That's a 4-point-ish miss. That's a big miss. Employment was expected at 53.4, coming in at 51.5. That's another big miss. New orders were expected at 57.6, coming in at 53.7. Another big miss. ISM services prices, the inflationary component of the ISM services data, was expected at 58.2, and it came in at 58.2. So everything missed. Came in weaker across the board for services. That is not exactly what markets wanted to see. To a certain extent, this does really solidify a December 18th cut from the Fed. And if this starts a trend of weaker economic data over the coming months, you're going to get more cuts from the Fed. But as markets are priced for a soft landing, you need to continue to see soft landing kind of data. If you start to get some recessionary data, like services that perhaps go negative, or manufacturing that gets worse, or jobs reports that start to come in bad, Fed rate cuts are not going to offset that bad data, right? These things are not one and one. So you can have a bunch of rate cuts. If you go into a recession, I mean, markets are still going to sell off big time. Okay, so yes, it does mean you're getting that December 18th cut, but it's still, bottom line, means the economy is not as strong as we thought. So currently the probability is 81.4% for a cut December 18th, only an 18.6% chance of a continued pause. So markets are taking that as a bit of good news. We also got a bit of bad news today from Foot Locker that said the Black Friday sales, this spending weekend that we just went through with Black Friday and Cyber Monday was really lackluster and did not produce the results that they were expecting. The stock is down 10% today. They also said there was weakness at Nike, which is creating more kind of doubts about how strong is the consumer. So that's a bit of a problem. Dollar Tree did well in earnings this morning. You can see today in after hours, you have Centennial One, American Eagle, Five Below, Synopsys, ChargePoint, PVH. and a couple of others that report earnings. Tomorrow morning, you have Dollar General, TD Bank, Build-A-Bear Workshop, Canadian Solar, BMO, and Kroger that reports. Thursday and after hours, Lululemon, UiPath, Ulta Beauty, DocuSign, GitLab, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, Samsara, and Viva, as well as Asana, that all report earnings. As far as your major indexes today, the Russell 2000 is up about 0.5%, NASDAQ up almost 1%, S&P up 0.42%, and the Dow is up 0.58%, but it's really top heavy, okay? This is not a super broad-based green day today. You can see the percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average is at 64.119. And you're actually down 1/3 of 1% today. So 1/3 of 1% of stocks are breaking below their 50-day moving average. This is really not a super strong day for markets, but markets are finding a way to move higher, at least on your index levels. What's surprising is even though there's a lot of red out there in different areas, the VIX is down 1.28% today to 13.13. I find that interesting. 10-year Treasury yields are declining about 2.5 basis points today, but remember, it's for the wrong reason, right? Yields are declining because the data came in bad. Yields are not declining because inflation came in low. So there's really a good reason for yields to fall and a bad reason for yields to fall. Again, bad reason is if the economic data comes in bad. That's a bad reason for bond yields to fall. Good reason for bonds to fall is if inflation comes down, and we really didn't get that. So that's why this drop in 10-year Treasury yields today is really not being seen as a positive for markets. Now, in terms of Tesla stock over on StockTwits, you can see sentiment is neutral today at 49. Yesterday, you were bullish at 59, so definitely a downtick in sentiment there. Message volume today is normal at 50. Yesterday was high at 57, and participation ratio is normal at 54. Global inventory numbers for Tesla have been tweaking lately. They recently shot up big time and came right back down. So inventory overall looks pretty good at Tesla. There's nothing to be alarmed with here. But for a second there was these big spikes, and it really just kind of makes you wonder what happened and why the data came in like that. But Tesla's in a much better scenario or situation than GM, Ford, Stellantis, basically everyone else. Google Trends data for Tesla products in the United States is kind of just trending sideways here. Not a super strong indicator of, an outsized Q4 that we're hoping for, but the month is still young and we can see over the coming weeks where this data goes. So I'm not super concerned about it, but it doesn't look great as of now, especially worldwide search trend data. That's ticking lower for Tesla. Model Y falling from 49 to 46, Model 3 from 40 to 38. Model S and X are staying stable at 16 and 11 respectively. The Cybertruck is actually moving higher from 60 to 61. So US-based search trend data looks better than worldwide search trend data, but neither one of them are screaming Q4 is going to be a really strong quarter. Besides the weekly insurance registration data that we get out of China, but again, China doesn't use Google, so China could just be strong and the rest of the world could be on the weaker side. That's what I am a little nervous about for Q4 results. We can see Tesla is holding above this trend line that is marked here on the charts. As long as we stay above that, then a larger breakout looks like it could be coming soon. Now, we do have catalysts throughout the rest of this week, like the jobs report that will be coming out on Friday, and that will be very consequential for markets and for Tesla. So if that's good, and Jerome Powell in his speech later on here in the next 30 minutes or so does confirm that the Fed wants to cut rates, the economy is just fine, inflation's not an issue, then I would expect that's going to be really good news for Tesla throughout the rest of this month. And above the trend line, you're just in a very good position. Now, if you fall below this trend line, then you could be making your way back to some of these moving averages. Let's go ahead and make sure they're here on the chart. And your 20-day moving average is at about 334. So that's the first one that could be targeted if we do get a downside kind of move here over the next couple of days or weeks. That's not a huge deal. That would really be back to like levels you have been at over the past couple of weeks, but it's better than not. You're above the trend line, and over the next couple of days, that will really just confirm whether or not we're going to break out higher. Okay, so that's something I'm watching pretty closely here. RSI at 64.76, so definitely room for strength to come into Tesla before you're even, remotely overbought. Not even close to that at this point. The MACD is at 22.02, signal line at 23.14. So preferably you do want to see the MACD line break above the signal line. And I think inevitably that will happen if we do start to go through a bit of a breakout here. So we will see. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about all of this news here on the day today. And what do you think is coming next for Tesla? You have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.